This podcast is brought to you in association with A2H Solutions, your premier destination for tailored strategic recruitment solutions. A2H, connecting talent and opportunity seamlessly. This podcast is brought to you by Harri, the employee experience platform built for the front line.
This episode is proudly sponsored by Candid Hospitality, your anonymous matchmaker for hospitality careers. Sign up in secret today at candidhospitality.co.uk.
Hello. Welcome back to the Talking Talent podcast, the podcast for talent professionals. We're back for season 2, and I am delighted to say I'm joined by my glamorous assistant, Mr. Dale Taggart. How are you, my friend?
I am very good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I realise when I do these introductions, I don't actually introduce myself. So, for anyone that doesn't know, I am Ben. I'm the co-host alongside Dale.
Season 2's off to a great start here already. You are human, Ben. You are human.
I am human. I am a real person. I'm not just an AI voice. It's been a while since we have recorded. I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, it's a bit of a reintroduction. We've had a really good, positive feedback about the podcast, so we really appreciate it.
And we've got merch.
We have got merch.
For anyone who will ever watch us on YouTube or any clips, here we go. We've got a bit of merch. I feel a bit warm with the hoodie on, though.
Yeah, I can well imagine, in this heat as well. But no, so I just want to. It's not one of these podcasts where we plug our sponsors and our partners, etc. But I guess I just want to say a big thank you. Firstly to A2H for supporting us all the way through. Likewise with the guys at Harri Technologies. Really appreciate the support. Coming back for season 2. Paying for our merch, paying for my new backdrop on the office, which is amazing. So loving that as well. So a huge thank you to you guys in particular. But a big shout out to Candid Hospitality as well, who have joined us for season 2. They will be featuring later on in the series as well. So big shout out to Sam, Izzy and the team, and obviously Nick there as well for the team there. They're doing things very differently, which will be, for me, I think it's a bit of a game changer. But you guys will put the links in the description so you can check them out, have a look. But yeah, just from us, a huge thank you to you guys. Where do you want to start, Dale? Should we give a bit of a recap of what we've been up to since we've been off?
Yeah, I think, it feels like it has been quite some time since we've, put some time in a diary, sat down and stared at a screen, speaking away about what we feel passionate about, and at some point, of course, me waffling along as per usual. But I think it's been a really exciting time. Obviously, I was offered a permanent contract with the company I was with, Wandle, and I happily accepted it, and we're on a really good journey. I've got a real good, opportunity right now to really transform, and do recruitment how I feel that it should be done. Really revamp that candidate experience. Of course, not changing ATS, but our ATS provider is completely new system, so you're basically going as if you are changing ATS as a whole implementation period, and I'm really excited for that. It will really support the hiring managers more than what we feel have at the moment. Really help me shape the candidate experience and journey, and we get a new careers page, which I'm super excited, and I will have control of it, and obviously I'll be working with our great comms team and some of our external partners who do a bit of the marketing and creative stuff for us. So I'm super excited. I'll probably be absolutely exhausted by the time we get to the autumn and everything is all said and done with all of that, but it's a really exciting time. I think if anyone, I think a lot of us have been places before where we've been frustrated, we want to make change, we really, you see an issue with the candidate experience and you want to make a change, but there's pushback, and I all full credit to those that in the organisation that sit above me. Don't want to make my boss's head any bigger, but he's been really supportive and really just leans into that expertise, and just instead of trying to rein in my passion, he just goes, love it, do it, You know, just don't try and. You said something really on the nose earlier on. Was don't try and change the world overnight, though. So I've got to make sure I
rein yourself in.
Rein it in a little bit. Yeah. It doesn't all have to be done in one go, but I'm just really excited for what the next 12 months or so are going to bring, and hopefully at the end of that I can turn back and say hopefully I've made a really good impact in the organisation. So I'm really excited for it, to be honest. And outside of that, my golf game's getting better. As you can see, my golf club's behind anyone watching. So I like that I'm getting a little bit better at golf, because I was dire. I'm still rubbish, but I'm getting better. I've had some golf lessons.
Well, there you
what about you, Ben? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been very busy with work. We've got a new ATS that's launching imminently in the next 3-4 weeks or so. As we're just getting the sort of final parts of the build together. The imagery is kind of getting there, which is great. Very excited with it. Getting lots of deals kind of signed, contracts signed now, getting things up and running. So it's real crunch time.
Yeah.
So, when you think you've kind of got everything, and then you've got the sort of demo version, the dev site and stuff, and you're looking through, you're thinking, okay, this looks pretty good here. I'm doing a decent job. But I'm really scared when it comes to testing phase, when there's something wrong. There's always something.
There will be something, though, yeah.
And I'm just hoping it's little tweaks. So hopefully I can sort of iron those out before we go live, and it doesn't push anything back. But yeah, very excited from that stage. But yeah, personally, I mean, my daughter's 9 months old now. She's crawling.
It's gone by so fast.
Honestly, it's crazy. She's pulling herself up on her own. She's like she's wobbling, but she's getting to the point of standing.
So it's just like you then.
Yeah, me after a few beers, basically. Yes. Yeah. Other than that, things have been pretty quiet my side, to be honest with you. Just getting my head down and getting these projects done.
Well, it's not been that quiet. Come on, we got to talk about fun time last Thursday.
Well, a week and a half by the time this comes out. But let's start from the beginning. I was very fortunate enough to be invited to A2H and Harry's joint sort of summer social that they were running. Now, any of you guys that are listening, if you work in hospitality, summer socials are quite a big thing in our sector. We're a very sociable bunch in hospitality. I think it's probably fair to say. We like to go out, we like to socialise, have a few drinks, have some lovely food, just network, just chat. That's the best part, and that's why I love hospitality myself. But so we did something different. So A2H and Harry put on a boat party down the Thames for the afternoon. So I was fortunately got invited to that. My boss Sarah got invited to that, and our guest Claire got invited to that as well. And my lovely glamorous assistant Dale got an invite to it as well, which was fantastic. So it was really great to, and that really we realised as well, which was terrible. It was the first time in like 5 months we'd seen each other in person, which was really bad. So we've made up for it by seeing each other the following week. But we'll come on to that in a little while. But it was your kind of first experience into the sort of different sector within hospitality. Now, I know, obviously, when we first met, we've said about Christmas parties and things previously, and some of the events stuff I've been to historically, and it's always been great fun. I'm not sure whether you quite believed the sort of stuff that we would do, and like the scale of things and what the amazing talented people within the industry do. But you've witnessed it firsthand now. What was your thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's what you expect, though. Hospitality in and itself, it is sociable. It's all about that customer service side of things. And I think that bleeds into, the back end, the roles like yourself or, some of the vendors. It just naturally just kind of streamlines it through, because you're all dealing with candidates that are going to be into hospitality. And let's be honest, we want the people in hospitality to be all friendly and forthcoming and sociable. But do you know what? It was really nice. For me, do you know what? Working in London, and obviously it was right by my office where we get picked up. But I've never been on the boat on the Thames. I've never gone kind of cut everything in the middle, and I felt like a tourist again. And it was lovely. Like, everyone else is all there socialising, and I'm just there looking around going, well, the Houses of Parliament looks very different from this angle, and you know, it was really quite nice, and I was really fortunate to obviously be invited to that, and you know, get to know a few other people off the back of that, and it's very, very interesting to seeing that world. Obviously, I don't tend to go to too many events, to be honest. You know. But no, it was really nice, and obviously, you know, great to be there. But you were absolutely in your element.
I love
you. Knew everyone. Me and Claire were just like, oh yeah, he's wandered off again, and he knows them apparently. Yeah, you're a real social butterfly at these events. It must be said.
Do you know what? I think it's within hospitality, because obviously I had the stint in sort of housing and non-for-profit for kind of 6 months and kind of getting back into it. And obviously where I am at the moment at F1 Arcade, it's hospitality, but it's different. It's that competitive socialising. It's a little bit more premium. So we're kind of a little bit on our own slightly from that side. So you don't necessarily socialise too much or whatever, but it's nice having these big gatherings. And that's why I'm genuinely so grateful for the guys putting it on and inviting us, because it was great to catch up with people. Like some of the team at Harri, for example. Like with Dan, I've not seen Dan for a couple of months. There's a lady called Simona who I met, weirdly enough, a few years ago when I had an interview for Harri back in the day. And I met her outside because I was looking for the office, and she was like, I know you. I've seen you at an event that Harri put on years ago. Never actually met properly. So it was lovely to kind of just see everybody again. And then you should realise, when you go to a lot of these events, there's always the same sort of faces that pop up. You might not talk to them on the first or the second event, party, whatever it may be. But by the third, someone's like, oh, this is, such and such. And you end up talking to them, and they introduce you, and then they remember you, and you just have a chat. And then by the third time, you're best friends, no matter what. And I think it helps that it was an open bar. So people were, not myself, obviously, because I'm a professional.
Yeah. But
people were, having a few drinks, letting loose, enjoying themselves in the sun. And you end up getting friendly, don't you, after a few drinks? You have the barriers, they sort of go down a little bit. You're not so self-conscious, you're a bit more loose, you're a bit more relaxed. But yeah, it's just fantastic. I just love the sector, I really do. It's just one of those, you're in it or you just don't deal with that at all.
Do you know what, it's really nice to see you.
It's really unique.
You've really got like a, again, anyone who's not who just listens to it on Apple Music or Spotify, on the camera right now, Ben is just beaming. He's so excited for it. It's almost like you were just made to be in that sector. I think you just thoroughly enjoy being in that sector, and it's more for you.
Joe, I like to believe it is. I think it's when you find something, you find the people you sort of click with, you get that enjoyment. It's that job satisfaction. Like I don't think I've enjoyed a job this much for years. But I think I like the concept. The people here are fantastic. Like, I'm not an F1 nut by any stretch, but I enjoy F1. I enjoy sports generally. But it's just the best of everything, really, from that side. You get to go to the venue. It's fantastic. You get to meet all the people that I've built careers with, careers with networks and friendships with over the years. It's just nice to reconnect, really. But yeah, it was a lovely time. Really enjoyed it. A bit of an after party as well, which was great. So I think you met a couple of other people there as well. So to kind of introduce partners of the pod, which is great. It's nice to just put names to faces as well, isn't it?
No, I really enjoy it. Obviously, I always get quite anxious, kind of around those, especially if I don't know too many people. Not, it was good. Obviously, yes. Sponsors of the pod, hosting it, so that's that natural kind of in. But I don't know. It's good though sometimes to challenge myself and come out of that. And it was really nice, and everyone was super friendly. And it was it was really good. So I was more than happy to be there, especially as a tourist for the day.
It was great fun, wasn't it?
Oh,
you couldn't ask for better weather either, could you?
It was. I don't know. I was kind of maybe a bit too hot for the walking.
Oh no! Well, yeah, for the walking maybe yes.
Well, you had shorts on. I was coming from the office, so that was a bit more smarter attire. So my knees were very sweaty. There's a great picture for people listening there. Just sweaty knees.
Absolutely. Then we had a little catch up, didn't we? So I brought you finally to my place, my lovely place of work at F1 Arcade St Paul's. I saw that you put a post on LinkedIn about how good you were at driving. So
you were complimenting me once I got the hang of it.
You were getting better.
I think the first race I didn't realise I could move the pedals forward, so I moved my chair really forward, and then I was too close to the steering column, so I was I couldn't really kind of get there. So once I got my bearings on it, it was there, but I didn't realise how bad the AI are on it. They've got no chill; they just crash into you.
Yeah, they get very aggressive.
And Paul would just crash into me, completely cut the chicane and try and take me out.
Yeah, so PJ, obviously, previous guest of season 1, PJ from Hospitality Jobs UK. Thanks for smashing them today. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great fun.
No, but it's a really nice place though, and I was there. You know what? Until you go there, sometimes it's really hard to kind of understand the concept.
Definitely,
and how it works. Because I'm an avid gamer. I've got the Xbox, I've got the PlayStation, and I love it. And I've played F1 games, plenty growing up as well, and never been kind of in one of those simulator things before. So that was definitely a new experience. But it's just really nice, really well done, really nice atmosphere, and you get a real mix of people. You could definitely see there were some. Teenagers who were just really into F1. You could tell by they come rocking in some merch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you've obviously got some of the finance bros, hitting it up in there for Wednesday drinks. And then you've just got a mixture. There were some families there. There were some bigger groups having some work socials, and it's just a real. Just a real mix, really. There's a bit of versatility to it, more than I, thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's more than what it says on the tin.
And the food was nice as well.
Oh, the food is.
The burger was a bit messy, but it was good. The steak as well, and those
croquettes.
Those croquettes.
So
I didn't think it would work, but it did work.
Yeah, hospitality that I've seen. I think it's ETM have got it. So Redwoods, where I met you, by London Bridge. So I've had, they've got mac and cheese bites there, cheese croquettes, there. They're just amazing. It shouldn't work, but it just, it's beautiful.
Also the ones that F1 it didn't have truffle in them as well.
Of course. Oh yeah.
And I was like,
naturally.
Okay. It worked. It really did work. We're not even talking about talent acquisition.
No, we're just talking about my work. Yeah.
We're just massive foodies. But I guess we'll get into a bit of a segue at it, and I think my whole thing is, what is going on in the job market right now? I don't know about you or anyone else. I really thought we would see a much more positive outlook by the time we've got to the middle of June. Towards the end of June now, actually. Jeez. Oh, wow. Recording on the 26th of June. It is wild, and I think, obviously, there's a lot of doom and gloom out there. You see a lot of recruitment agencies talking about how tough it is. We have conversations with agencies as well, and you can kind of, sense it. We know, obviously, people that do what we do in the talent acquisition space. Still more people being made redundant. There's less jobs out there, and you're seeing people just completely move away from the profession, or at least temporarily move away from the profession while it's there. And the job market is still weakening, redundancy is still looming. Obviously, Hayes posted, what was it, last week, around, their profit has cut in half from last year. I take that with a bit of pinch of salt, because I think there is also a shift to more smaller agencies away from the bigger ones. No disrespect to Hayes. I do work with some good people over there, but so I do always take those things with a pinch of salt. But I do think there is an element, there about how the job market is. I don't think it shows the whole picture just by looking at what Hayes have posted. But I do think it is all part of it, and I think it's tough. And obviously, I'm speaking to a lot of candidates as well who have been in the market for a while, and you can tell it is really beating down some people. And I don't know when is it going to bounce back, because it just seems all very doom and gloom at the moment.
It does. I think just just kind of going back to the Hayes report side of things, I agree with you. I've seen a lot of back and forth on LinkedIn about this report. I can't remember if it was this week or last week.
It was either the start of this week or last week.
Late last week. But I sort of read, I didn't read the whole article or anything like that, but there's a lot of comments going through about it's not just this, it's not just Hayes, blah, blah, blah. They're out of touch with a lot of their clients. Yes and no. You can argue for and against. They're a huge agency. They exist as a huge agency for a reason. They're hugely successful. You can't deny that. You may get one or two consultants that you don't quite click with, don't quite gel with, whatever. There's different approaches to everything. We all know this. But I think there has been a big shift to those sort of smaller boutique specialist agency side of things. And a lot of sort of consultants from sort of bigger agencies or smaller agencies that I know are actually branching out on their own to offer services to just a select few clients. Because realistically, if you have, say, 5 clients that regularly have 1 or 2 jobs a month that you fill, that's a good income. From your fees. You don't have to charge huge fees because you've got that repeat business, or even if you're on a retainer, for example, you've got that regular income and you could probably cater for it. You've got good working relationships, you know their business inside out. And I think we're seeing a shift from that. And I think from me being in an organisation, we've used an agency since before I started. He knows the business inside out. He's placed lots of our staff at HQ, he's placed lots of our tech guys, and he's a great guy from what I know of him. He chats, everyone knows who he is. There's not really a bad candidate he sends through, and if there is, he's like, look, it's a bit left field, recommend you seeing him, but we wouldn't question that because they understand the business. So you need to build up that relationship with those agencies. And I think if you're a large agency and you're a consultant in a large agency, is it a tick box exercise? Like, guys, if you're listening from your Hayes, your Michael Pages and things, like, get in touch, let us know. It'd be great to kind of understand what that process is. We're not privy to that. We've not worked in large agencies ourselves. We're not trying to bash on agency consultants or anything, because we want TA to be better for everyone. This is not just it's us and them, it's just we happen to be internal, that's all.
It's also trying to break through the noise, because obviously it's just us trying to decipher what does that mean, because we just see the discourse back and forth.
Absolutely.
What do we really know? When people are on there posting about how actually it's nothing to do with the job market, it's actually more to do with Hayes and how they do it. We don't know that. We're not on that side of the fence realistically, and I can see some logic to that. That there are plenty of really good smaller ones, and it depends on what you value. And maybe smaller ones can be a bit more flexy with their approach, because they have less channels to kind of go through for approval. Again, like any organisation, the larger an organisation, sometimes the more steps for approval you have to kind of go through. But no, it's always interesting to kind of see that. But I think whatever way we look at it, there is still an element to show that the market is going back, because we see enough of people who are in maybe the smaller agencies, and they're still saying how it's tough out there, and and we know ourselves, maybe we're not dealing with as many vacancies as maybe we would have done maybe a year or two ago. I think slightly less affected in my arena. We have to keep up with things. Like, I'm a not-for-profit, so it's never about
you're very government influenced, though, aren't you, as well?
Well, there's just things we have to do.
You've got it, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have to do it. So there's no kind of thinking about, actually, do we want to backfill these roles? It's like, no, we have to backfill these roles. And sometimes we actually have to add roles because things are spiking up in a certain area, and we have to go and fix that. So I can't really comment too much from the TA side in that, but obviously I do see a lot of people talk about where things are at, and obviously I know in general hospitality, I'm not hearing amazing things. Some aren't. No.
I'll be honest.
Great. People are spending less money, and I think does then impact hospitality a little bit.
Honestly, the hospitality industry, and I'm not just saying this because it's just me or whatever. I speak to a lot of people in hospo. We're on our knees. Everyone,
that's a lot of people's entry level roles as well. When you think about it, think back when we were, 18, 19,
exactly.
20.
And it's the basic
That's
services.
what we were doing.
You learn so many soft skills for life. Your communication, how to just greet someone, manners, work ethic. Like, it's a hard job, but it's a good balance of things.
It can be
like,
very humbling.
It's very humbling, but it's very rewarding at the same time. You get to meet some fantastic people, and like the work ethic of like some of our GMs and AMs, etc. that I've met over the years are phenomenal. Like the TA guys that we work with are it builds up that resilience. It is character building. Sometimes you get great guests that come in and they're they're fantastic, they're polite, they love what they're doing because you're giving them a good service. There's others that you couldn't do anything more for them, they'll still be miserable. It does build character, but it's a bit of a life lesson. Like if someone's, unfortunately it does happen in places, you have guests swear at you, they'll be verbally abusive, etc. And you don't stand for it, you get rid of them, you kick them out, etc. But that unfortunately will happen at some point in life anyway. So if you could deal with it in a professional setting and be calm under that pressure, and be like, look, excuse me sir, or excuse me madam, I need you to leave. And they, you get rid of them, you disperse the situation. That's great character building. So there's lots of skills to be learned, but trying to stay on topic a little bit, it is affecting especially the hospitality market, and that affects a wider market. I really feel like, because there's so many transferable skills to go everywhere. So not just the TA space, but if you're closing down sites, venues, offices, you don't need such a large team.
Well, I genuinely do start to feel, how do the younger generations coming out of school now, how do they begin to start? Because everyone always wants someone with some work experience, right? There's always, and that's that age-old thing of, want experience, but how do people get experience? And I always get it, it's one of those
it's
things.
So frustrating. It's one of the most frustrating things.
Retail, like physical retail, well, it has been collapsing for some time. Some big names still cutting, stores back, and high streets are just getting emptier and emptier and emptier. And so you're removing the retail, and hospitality is starting to cut back in certain areas. And then it's just like, well, where are the opportunities for these people to start their working lives? And how do they start their working lives? How do they get part-time jobs? How are they able to get that experience to set them up for future careers? Because then we're going to end up with people, struggling. They come out, they do everything right. And I know that's always happened, right? I know it's always been tough to come out and start your career. But I can only imagine how much tougher it's going to be when we don't have those entry-level starting point, jobs for people to start when they're 16 through to 21. Like, I think it's quite worrying in that sense. Personally, that's how I see it.
No, I do agree with you. And I think some of that then comes into your sort of career development side as well, like the early careers side that you've worked with previously. I know we mentioned last season. Hospitality, I'm always going to keep mentioning it, but it is a career. And you can go, I've worked with so many people that have made the transition from venue or restaurant into support centre or head office, whatever you want to call it. And they've built careers that way, and then they can go back into operations in the future. You can learn so much. So I remember someone years ago that I worked with was a general manager, moved across into recruitment, then they did a bit of HR, they've done some L&D side of things, then they wanted to do marketing. So they've just dotted around, but they learnt so much, and they understand everything for what that restaurant needed. So they knew the support, and honestly, the insight was priceless for me as a recruiter coming in as just a recruiter. It was amazing. Like the HR guys knew what was actually going on in the restaurants, so you just adapt your sort of processes a little bit and your approach to everything. So having that's worth more than a specialist marketer, a specialist recruiter, a specialist HR partner, to a certain extent, because you've got valuable insights that you'd never get. So that's the same everywhere as well, though, isn't it? It's not just
100%. I think you can forge a career anywhere. But yeah, it's obviously it's usually just people's starting point. It's a starting point for a reason, and it's just like, what do we do? It's more questions like, what do we replace that with? Where does that get replaced? And I still strongly believe that organisations, where they can, most organisations are paying into the apprenticeship levy anyway, so let's try and get some young people into those apprenticeships and get into starting their careers a little bit early. It doesn't mean they have to stick with that career forever. I think we make decisions on careers a bit too soon, and there's always a lot of pressure, I think, that goes on kind of in schools and stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to do till I was like 24, 25. So, and
you wanted to always do a podcast?
Oh, always though. I've always wanted to be another white boy with a podcast.
I can't say anything. I've got two, so yeah, thanks for that.
Surprised you haven't got a third one on the side. But no, I think I want to remain kind of optimistic though. I want to hope that things always come in peaks and troughs, and I know that let's be honest. Okay, we haven't really fully recovered from the 2008 financial crisis. In general, obviously we went into austerity. Obviously that was a political choice. Let's not get too political. And then obviously COVID happened, Brexit. So many things have just continued to happen. I feel like we've just been like
it's an onslaught.
That's our whole working lives. Yeah. Like I've just been through these times.
Well, it is,
But there are still those. We still do have the ebbs and flows. Look at how bad most things were 2020, 2021. Things then bounced back, and then other stuff happened, and we have gone up and down. Obviously, Ukraine, Russia, obviously energy prices went absolutely crazy, which was insane. So, but I do hope that there will be some changes. I think maybe the world of work is just going through a bit of a transition period. I don't think AI is the answer that some places want to think it is, and we can maybe touch upon a little bit of the topical news around Workday and their AI and their class action lawsuit in the US, which I'm sure will have implications in general. I think maybe that's got a lot of organisations rethinking where they thought they might be able to save some money.
Do you know what? Just to interject quickly here, I think you are bang on the money on that, because AI is this buzzword. And don't get me wrong, there's some fantastic programs, workflow, software and things. It does make things a lot easier. It does streamline things. But I know we spoke off air. You can only do so much with AI because it's someone's programmed that.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there's learning machines and learning mechanisms, etc., of course, but it can only go so far unless you've got the backing of Google, Meta, Apple, and those sort of big companies. So I do think this is going to set a precedence for probably the next 10 to 15 years. And
I can't say I'm surprised.
Oh my gosh, this is like, it's amazing. It is going to be life changing. I don't want to use that as a buzzword, but it will change the landscape. I really do believe in that.
Yeah, and I think it will. Again, we've spoken about it before. I do think there are times where it will make lives easier, and it might still mean that you cut a couple of staff here and there, because now people are a bit more free to do other jobs, because maybe we're streamlining some of the bits that can be automated. And sometimes in some companies, TA for example, if you don't have the right systems working for you, you actually do waste a lot of time doing things manually.
Oh, you really do. Reporting is a prime example. Is getting data together. If you haven't got a good dashboard and a good program to pull all this data into to be able to sift and sort, not your Excel, that's your basic stuff now. There's so many other things that can, it's smart data, I think, is the buzzword, isn't it?
Action, and you can got action.
Yeah, it's got to be readable and usable data. There's no point having a list of like 1,000 names, 1,000 addresses and stuff. What you could do with that? What do you actually need it for? Like, what are you trying to get out of it? You've got to have useful data.
Yeah. But I'll be honest, were you surprised about when it came out about Workday getting sued for their use of AI in, I don't even want to call it ATS, because Workday is not really an ATS. It's not an applicant tracking system. It's a CRM, and I've heard it does okay with the people side, the HR software side of things, but it's not really an applicant tracking system. So I don't want to give it too much credit on that end, but I can't say I'm surprised. I was expecting it. I know I was always going to expect like a bit of pushback from candidates anyway, because your candidates are crying out for more human connection throughout that process. They want people to talk to, because people will be able to understand people better than a machine, you know, or a bit of coding can ever. Like, everything's so nuanced. The world isn't, you know, clean, black and white. You know, you take a little bit more to get there, and people really want to have that personal connection still, because it is still such a personable thing. You know, we spend so much time at work. You want to ensure you're making the right decision. How do you know if you're going to be making the right decision if you're not really actually dealing with the humans that work in that organisation?
Yeah.
But I definitely would. I always thought, you know, especially if we're trying to drive it too much now as well, I always thought there was going to be a claim of discrimination from use of AI tools.
It was a matter of time, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was
because,
going to be
again,
some company was going to have this, and it was going to be one of the big boys and the big players in the game, 100%. I mean, I don't know enough about Workday, so I can't comment I haven't read too much into it, so I'm not going to do all these like blanket comments or anything like that, because I don't know enough. But yeah, it was guaranteed it was going to be one of the big ATS, CRM or something like that will go a little, not going too far or anything, but someone will pick up on it and say, no, this isn't right. And you think maybe we shouldn't have done that, we could have cut it back a little bit. But you look at the efficiency, and that seems to be the way, because the cost of everything is rising so much that businesses do need to be smart, they do need to be working efficient, they need to be as lean as possible. And candidates, you know, as you said, yeah, of course candidates want that human interaction. But you know what it's like from the company perspective. You're a team of one, same as myself from the UK side of things. There's only so much you can do. You need to automate things to save yourself some time, to be able to deliver what the organisation needs, whether or not they can afford, you know, an assistant or, you know, an administrator or whatever it may be in the role. They can't afford that. You've got to work smarter.
I do think it's a good lesson to be had, though, and I don't even say it's. And I'm not standing up for Workday, but I don't necessarily think it was Workday. You know, they'll have clients that probably were asking for that level of, you know, companies like that. They don't tend to just mostly, you know, adjust and move forward, as it were, as if it was moving forward, unless they're being prompted to by their clients regularly. So I'm sure people thought, like we said, there's always this kind of real buzz around AI, and let's do this, let's mostly use it to save money. And I think that's probably where we would. Some companies just thought, oh, this is easy, I'm going to save money here. And potentially that's you know, devaluing of their internal recruitment functions, perhaps, or, you know, not really understanding the ins and outs of what we do. Because let's be honest, how many, you know, there's plenty of stakeholders that we'd have dealt with in our careers that actually haven't got a clue about 90% of what we do, or what we're making sure we're adhering to, and things like that. But I think maybe it's come at a time where it's a bit of a lesson to say, well, hold back. Let's focus the AI and the automation in maybe some of the, you know, lengthy admin processes. Let's try and automate, you know, some of the emails in there, you know, kind of, not necessarily emails, but like, you know, when you're onboarding, for example, you're sending out stuff. Let's just, you know, things like automating those and helping people to save time and not having to remember to do things and having to go back and do things, you know, manually. I think that's a step in the right direction. And if you do it that way, then you're freeing up the time for those of us in talent position to actually be able to really focus on the candidate, you know, side of things, and focus on managing our stakeholders as well, because we're not bogged down manually doing processes that can be automated without, you know, discriminating against anyone or messing up, you know, workflows. Just the basic kind of admin tasks that we can find a way of automating, and maybe it's a lesson that's come at the right time.
Yeah, I think I probably do agree with you with the right time side of things. You know, I went to an HR tech conference over at the Excel about a month or two ago now, and everything was AI. Every single seminar was AI, and don't get me wrong, it's great. And some of the stuff you can do is fantastic. Like, I've been looking into bits like for my own personal stuff at home and looking at it, and it's incredible what you can actually do. And it's opened my eyes so much more. You know, when I was brought into my role here, you know, my boss was like, look, I want you to Like, are you into like the tech and the AI? I was like, yeah, I've got a genuine interest in it. She went, right, I want you to know everything there is to know that's going to make things easier, like take a real interest. I'm like, okay, brilliant. So I've been kind of tasked with that, and it's fantastic. Like, I'm working with our IT guy with loads of bits. I'm like, can we do this? And he's like, yeah, we can do that. He's like, I can't do it for like the next couple of weeks, but let's put something in the diary. Let's have a chat. Let's go through stuff. And it's really exciting. But I think it's coming at the right time to just hold back. Let's just kind of assess where it's going to go. So it'll be interesting to see how this Workday case plays out over the next, well, it's going to be months or years probably, realistically.
Yeah, probably.
But there will be some fallout. There will be, I'm almost certain, there's going to be legislation changes across the globe for this.
Yeah, obviously, I know obviously our government have set out their AI kind of whole thing, and that's going to drive our economy, and I'm sure it maybe will make them take stock and say as well that there needs to be some protections in there. You know, obviously, you know, not to go too deep into it, but obviously in terms of rights for people, you know, having, you know, artists and you know, voice actors and whatnot, having it used, and okay, some of it is not reading contracts, some of it is a bit oddly worded contracts thrown in somewhere.
Yeah, you shouldn't have these contracts being allowed to be written like that, though.
Exactly.
I think that's where the governance needs to be before it goes 100%. There.
You can't spearhead it without first taking stock of and assessing the risks, the real tangible risks to people, because, you know, then you really will have the greedy who will take full advantage, and, you know, if completely unchecked, you know, I don't think it'd be great to have loads of job losses because you've just harnessed AI. Because who's buying product then? Because if you've got tons of people out of work, who's buying your product? I don't think, you know, that would really work. So yeah, well, hopefully things will get a bit more kind of in check. But, you know, I'm still all for, you know, still trying to keep that personal connection in a recruitment process, and making sure that it's being used to help me do that side better and spend more time on it rather than using it on the candidates instead.
Yeah, I think it's, I guess to sort of summarise it, it's more of a, don't go too far, like take regular step backs and analyse and assess what you're doing. You've got a goal, you've got a target you want to achieve, regularly assess it all the way through. Am I going too far? Is it still on point? Am I still doing what I need to do? Is it still serving that purpose? Because it's a messy thing to get into, and it's easy to get into because there's so many options. But that's, you know, I don't want to be too negative because there is so many positives behind it. We just don't want to get too bogged down on it. But that's one of those. But I think it's probably a nice way to end episode 1. It's nice to be back. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Dale, it's always a pleasure having a conversation with you.
You too, my friend.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Take it easy.